everyone. Welcome
Hi.
back to Soul Blueprint Conversations. And today we've got Jesslyn and myself again to just cover another aspect of soul contract, which is the goal aspect. So in the previous episodes, if you've been following us, if not, you can always go back and watch. We cover the overall chart generation, the karmic aspect, the talent aspect, and today is the goal, whether it's spiritual goal or physical goal. So without further ado, let's dive in. So before we share the chart and look at the same case study that we look at in the previous two podcasts, which is Princess Diana's chart, we just want to talk a little bit about the goal aspect in the chart. So remember, we've got two triangles in a common chart, which is the physical triangle and the spiritual triangle. So in the same way as talent or karma, we've got a spiritual goal and a physical goal. Now, generally, when we want to achieve a goal in our life, we've got to work towards it. So as far as goal is concerned, we would need to remove all the different blocks that, whether we can say, that stop us from manifesting the goal, or we would need to graduate from the different karmic imprints that are hidden in that goal in order for us to embody the goal in a deeper way, or to manifest the goals from the lower layer into the higher level of that goal itself. Because like with any aspect of a chart, all the numbers are multi-layered. And when we look at goals, we can also manifest goals on multiple levels as well. So how many percent do we have in a karmic, in a goal aspect that is karmic? From my experience, it's probably like 60%, 70%.
Yeah, I think so too. Yes.
Yeah. It's not easy, of course. And many of us naturally work towards our goals without even knowing your soul contract. Because life would make the arrangement for us to meet the right person to, move along the path anyway. And we unconsciously somehow become the person that's, that we are meant to be in a physical goal or in a spiritual goal. But what are the potentials that a person can have if you know that this is your goal? You may strive to be a bigger version of that goal as well. So that's why we are not looking at goals simply as something which you have never done or you have never achieved, but we look at it as how far have you gone in your journey in order to manifest a goal, and where are you on the path, and how else can you manifest a bigger version of that goal. So that's what we would usually look at in a soul contract reading. But as for today, let's just look at Princess Diana's chart again and see what goals she has in her chart and what was the expression that she manifested during her life as far as the goals are concerned.
Yeah, I think one thing I would like to add there, Lynn, is that a lot of times I've also realized with clients, right? Sometimes that goal would be just a thought that you would have thought about, right? And then when they have that reading, and we mentioned, right, yeah, a part of your goal is to this, and it kind of validates them to move seriously along that path. Because initially it could have just been a thought, it could just been an idea, and then they could have said, oh, maybe it's not, maybe it is. So that reading, actually, I've seen a lot of them after that reading going towards that goal with, the fifth gear, let's say, putting it that way. Yeah.
Yeah. In a sense, it's your aspirations, it's your dreams, it's your inspirations that you had throughout your life. And for every number, there are many different ways that the goal can come about, You can have the same number, but again, you can have hundreds or thousands of ways to go about that same goal.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, let me just share the screen so that you can go on with that, yeah?
Thank you.
Hey.
Right, so let's look at Princess Diana's goal. Excuse me. So here we've got, let me just annotate. a spiritual goal of 10-1 and a physical goal of 17-8. So just a very brief description. With a physical goal of 17-8, it's all about expressing herself or become a speaker in a mainstream society. The 17 is all about expression. It's about being the spokesperson of God. And in a physical aspect, then of course, it's about bringing whatever God's ideology is into a relatable manner and express it in society that people can relate to, that people can understand and accept. So here we've got a very, I think a very Princess Diana's expression, I'm sure, because she was kind of being out there and everywhere in the mainstream society to preach or to teach her ideology of love, of emotional connection, of people being equal. Because the 8, for example, is all about universal brotherhood. It's about people being equal, whether they have HIV/AIDS or whether they are poor children, and so on. So that's a message that she was teaching and sharing, and I'm sure she was very successful in that. What's your thought, Jasmine?
Yeah, I think I would like to add to that will be the key is expression. Yeah, 17-8 is a lot about expression and to be grounded in society and to reach out emotionally and connect to people, right? And I think we saw that like so prominent with her. Because whether it was the verbal expression or a gesture itself when she was with people, okay? And she reached out to a lot of people and the ability to share it. And we see that even more because you see with her talent, like we mentioned in the last podcast, right? She's able to bring that into the surface because she has a 17-8. And a lot of 17-8 is a lot about social media presence as well. And we did see that, right? A lot of social media presence, which she brought about. And yeah, she's good. And one of the things about 17-8, which we always speak about, is being a speaker, or a lot of politicians actually have the 17-8.
Oh, both of us have 17-8 as well.
Yeah, we do. Speakers, a lot of speakers have 17-8. Yeah, in a different position. Of course, mine sits in the karmic side, so I've got a lot of challenges to work through it, but eventually, it becomes a strength, right? But what is beautiful is with the 17-8, when you look at Princess Diana's one, she was able to actually put herself out there as an expression in social media, right? And to share that love, because again, it comes from that talent part of it, right? The talent part of it with the 12-3, that motherly love, that unconditional part of it showing up. And she brought it out with the 17-8, I guess.
But I think, I don't know her very well exactly, like the earlier years of her life, but from what I've researched on is that when she was young, she used to be a very shy kid. And that is what happens in the 3, very shy, and also the 17-8 that can be, that she needed to overcome certain, what do you call it, isolation issue, I would say, the 8, or even with the 1 and the 3 in the chat. It's about, withdrawing and not connecting with people because she probably holds a different set of values, and she probably went through certain suppression in terms of speech and in terms of ideology as she grew up, which I think, it's pretty natural to see that way because she always has this different set of ideology compared to the royalty, compared to the royal family. So definitely it's not easy for her growing up, trying to express her own truth and her ideology. And when we also look at the 14-5 here in the same physical aspect, it's about that. It's about, standing in her truth and expressing it and overcoming the slavery issue of the 17 and come into dominion of what she owns as her ideology.
Absolutely. I think the suppression part of it is a lot with the 17-8s. Okay? And I can definitely relate to that one, right? And it takes a lot to be able to come out and eventually speak and be yourself. Okay? And because the theme itself comes from dominance to slavery to dominance, so it is a lot within. It's not really about being a slave in that sense to people, yes, possibly in certain situations, we have seen that as well, right, with some clients. But a lot of it, I think, is within, right? And with her goal, sitting in a goal, it is a bit different because she's able to leverage that and use it in order to be out there. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
it's also about, for example, being able to set emotional boundaries so that she
Yeah.
can stand in that
Yeah.
position of being the spokesperson of God and
Yeah.
express herself, because without emotional boundaries, she'll be processing a lot of different things. And being in the physical aspect with 5, with 2, with 8, it's all like absorbing a lot of energies and emotions and
definitely
and issues, dysfunctional patterns from others. With the 11-2 in the soul destiny as well, for example. So
that's a big
like
one.
all of these empath numbers show up in her chart that kind of show us that it's definitely not easy unless she works through setting boundaries, distancing or sort of detaching herself from that system that doesn't serve her, and says or expresses what she believes. So this whole 8 is also something very big that I think she had to work through a lot.
Yeah, and many people with this frequency, we have seen them actually have inner struggle, a lot of inner struggles, right? But the good part is because they have got a lot of those talents that support them, that resilience, the ability of that wisdom, they are able to, if with this particular chart, right? Someone is able to work through that very gracefully as well.
Yep. Yeah. And I think one of the things not that I like, but I have a lot of clients with 17-8 because it's a very prominent number in Asian culture, whether it's Vietnamese, whether it's Chinese,
Yep.
I'm not sure about the.
I think generally in Malaysia as well, there are many with 17-8.
Yeah. So this is one of the vibrations where we will talk about how to, stand in your own ideology and be in that sovereignty instead of being slave driven by a certain belief system
or circumstances. Yeah,
and this is the part that I enjoy talking about, because a lot of us fear that when we set boundaries, when we start detaching or dissociating ourselves from the ideologies that no longer work for us or that are not the ultimate truth, then we are fearful that people would be, abandoning us, they ostracize us, and we don't belong to the world, we don't belong to the society or to the community that we are in. And that's a fear that the 17-8 has as one of the biggest challenges.
Absolutely, yes.
And they go into this whole rescuer mode where they need to be there, they need to enmesh themselves in people's emotions and problems in order to belong. And that's, especially combined with her 22. That can be a heavy issue, like trying to keep the peace, trying to people please maybe, and forget about your sovereignty. So that's true. That's something that I find pretty heavy in the Southeast Asia region that we are in.
But one big thing is with the 17-8, she definitely was drawn to public platforms, because that is with the 17-8s, because we saw a lot of interviews, charity events, hospital visitations, right? So there was a lot of reaching and connecting definitely with that goal. Right?
Yeah. Humanitarian projects. She does a lot of humanitarian stuff, and that's a lot to do with the 8, the 17-8.
Yeah, exactly.
Building the community. The universal brotherhood.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the spiritual goal here.
Yeah.
And we've got the 10 one, which also is a repeat of her spiritual karma. And whenever I see double numbers in a chart, even though it's not a dominant vibration, I always see it as a heavy issue, especially if it's sitting in the same triangle. And it's like a circle, It's the beginning and it's also the end.
The end, yes.
Right. So it is something which would repeat throughout her life for sure. Now, of course, she's not here, so
but I guess generally, Yeah, but I think generally we have seen it with a lot of charts when it actually sits in the physical and the spiritual, because it's as though like you're facing the challenges, but you're supposed to reach this goal, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And
it's
it's
quite
like you're
prominent.
constantly dealing with it, one way or the other.
Yeah.
And you have that drive to move towards it. And in this case of a spiritual goal, the 10-1 is all about coming into full soul expression.
Yeah.
Coming into full balance of feminine, masculine, of form and spirit. In other words, enlightenment, or however you define it.
Yeah.
But it's about bringing her soul energy onto the earth to express it in every step of her way, whether through her action, through her speech, through her thought, through her every breath and every
Yes.
step of the way. That's what we say. So with the 10-1 as a spiritual goal, it's truly about becoming the mastery, coming into the mastery of self and of the soul.
Who you are, yeah.
Yeah, of who she's here to be. And I think in a spiritual goal is also a lot to do with spiritual work that she would be carrying out in the society. I wouldn't say in society, but more like in the spiritual area of life.
Yeah.
Whether it's spiritual community or communities that are more inclined to values and to love and to qualities, as opposed to just material achievements.
Yeah.
So how do you see that expressed in Princess Diana's life?
Yeah, I think it's quite an interesting one, because you see, with the 10-1s, generally with any 10-1s, right, especially if it's going to sit in the goals, it is about knowing who you are at the deepest soul level, is discovering yourself. Okay. And stepping into that authentic expression with clarity and confidence. And she was already there, I guess. Because whatever she did, when she stepped into it with clarity and confidence. You could see that, she always stepped into something when she spoke, when she reached out to people, right? And with the 10-1s, you're also here to express your soul's mastery, right? So it's not just about yourself, but also to benefit those around you, which means that definitely we could also see that with her work, because she was benefiting those around her while she was working on discovering who she was at a soul level. Right? And definitely, I think this is quite a big one, and we did see this already coming through with her. Yeah. Right. And a lot of them with this, when we have readings as well with our clients, we do notice many times they are trying to find that authentic expression about themselves, who they are. The balance of the feminine and the masculine side, or the balance in general. Right? So, yeah, we could see that actually with her chart and what she was already doing, because she was benefiting a lot of people around her, right?
Yep. It's all about transforming and transmuting the patterns and the deep-rooted issues, going to the core of problems or the root cause of things and transmute from the root. So in her case, it's probably the whole thing between, because I would say royalty is all about patriarchal, right? Of course, in Britain, it's a bit different because you've got the queen.
Yeah.
Longer than the kings. But in the modern society, I would say that it's very mental and patriarchal. It's very active instead of passive. It's very masculine instead of feminine. So the root cause of thing here is whether she can stand in her feminine power and still be transforming people's life. And having that balance between action and, being out there versus, being in here and working on herself and moving through her things and still be in that stable position of the one, because one is all about stability.
Stability, yes.
Yeah, and unity consciousness as well. But that stability that she has in the one or the two in her chart, throughout her chart, is something which she needs to come into. She needs to work through in order to sort of like not be pulled by the patriarchal side. And not like, withdrawing and hiding herself away because of all the controversies and criticisms that she received from, different directions.
Yeah,
so,
true.
Yeah, that's the lesson that she needs to work on, I'm sure.
Yeah. But I guess it was already there because in the later years, right, when we actually saw her live, she was walking more in her truth and choosing what was close to her heart, although it was controversial, right?
Yeah.
So that we already could look at that
Yeah.
happening later on in her life, okay?
Yeah.
And she served not only through her actions, but being herself. She was vulnerable, but she was strong enough, which
Yep,
is
exactly.
definitely, she was embodying that soul goals and the purposes there itself.
Yeah.
Right?
I remember watching a video clip where she was talking to the Queen, and I can't remember exactly the conversation and all of that, but she was expressing herself, her feelings and all of that. And then there was I can't remember how the Queen responded, but then she said, "I just want to hug you," that sort of thing. And then she walked off the room. It's a very old footage. Well, I don't know
that
how.
must be the 12-3 from her chart, that
it's like the willingness to wear her heart on the sleeve and express herself and still being stable enough to not worry that even though the Queen may still be like, okay, I'm the Queen here, I'm not a mother in the house or something like that. But she breaks away from the fear or from that hiding to express her feelings, to express herself and her truth, and connect with the person on the emotional level. And in that process, I think whatever comments from that video footage were kind of like she was being herself and she was encouraging generations of people to step into your feelings and expressing yourself and connecting with people on emotional and heart level. And that's just an absolute transformation that she had as an impact on
transformation.
other people.
Yes, definitely. As we speak through her goals, right? I think as we are speaking, we are seeing how prominent the 17/8 and the 10/1s actually were there in her life, and how she was already exercising and doing what she was doing in terms of her goals, right? And it touched a lot of people because the 10/1s are also service souls, and they touch a lot of lives, a lot of people, right? And it is so beautiful because she has that 17/8, the expression being able to communicate while being a service soul. So it kind of brings it out even better, right? Yeah. Truly beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, indeed. One thing which I received before in terms of there's some question about the difference between a spiritual goal and a soul destiny. Because for some people it's like, I'm a spiritual person, so my soul destiny, is it the same, or how do I differentiate it? So one thing that I can say is that as far as soul destiny is concerned, it is a blend between your physical aspect and your spiritual aspect.
Yeah, agree.
It's the result of you working through all the different aspects of the chart. It's about the soul expressing itself on the earth plane.
Yeah,
whereas as far as spiritual goal is concerned, for example, in her case, Princess Diana's case, it's all about like blending her soul in and healing people through being herself and through the different values that she embodies and connecting with her soul consciousness and living from there. So it has a lot of spiritual connotation to it and soul level connotation to it. So that's the difference. Yeah.
And
do you have anything to add to that question?
Yeah, I think we've said a lot because each one of those, right? Even the 17 has its own energy, the 8 has its own 10 and 1. We are looking at it more as a combination right now. If we were to go deeper, it's going to take like a lot of time as well. Okay. But one thing that I feel through this chart definitely is a lot of authenticity, a lot of love, a lot of self-searching, right? And we definitely saw that throughout her life. Right? It's a very beautiful, beautiful chart, I must say.
I think many of us have beautiful charts.
Yeah.
And all charts are unique and beautiful.
Yeah, in unique, yes.
I would say it's not the toughest chart I've seen.
Yeah.
In terms of like the energies or the vibrations that are so tough to work through.
Yeah, definitely.
17/8 and 10/1 are quite strong vibrations that I think would take a lot of work and high level soul consciousness in order
Yeah.
to move through.
Agreed.
And I would think that as far as the goals are concerned, she's got service-oriented goals and very nicely fitted to how she expressed herself in the world when she was around. At the same time, of course, she's given those conditions to express herself in such a way because her soul chose the path.
Yeah.
So there's no coincidence about that.
Yeah.
But I would think like the beauty is that she was actually living it in a very prominent way. She was embodying all these energies very beautifully. Whatever that she left behind as a legacy
Legacy,
was
definitely.
already, transformative to many people.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right.
That's it that we have for today. Unless you've got anything else to add.
No, I think that's a lot actually we said about the goals. Yeah. Although there's a lot more, but for now, I think that's good to digest already because we'll be speaking a lot about this throughout our podcast, later on different aspects as well, on each of those frequencies as they may come in into different areas that we're going to speak into.
Yeah. So I would probably just say again that we've got this Google Sheet that you can sign up if you want us to dissect your chart. If you have some question about your karmic imprint or your goal or your talents, like what can you do in your life and stuff like that, just feel free to send in your name and we can speak about it in one of our podcasts. And of course, we will not do a full reading because number one, you are not live with us, and number two, we don't have the kind of time to go through all the different things. But we'll be happy to do a mini reading or pick up certain things, especially if you've got questions around your issues or your challenges or your dreams in life.
Dreams.
So, connect with us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lynn. And we will see everyone in our next podcast with something even more interesting because we're going to look at the soul destiny, right?
Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining us again. Right. We'll see you next round. Bye-bye.